Hello friends, welcome to Facebook live session hosted by IDP Education. It's an exceptional session by all means because we have amongst us today eminent personalities from state Australian education bodies. They will share their views on futuristic skills and demands, assisting students to succeed in their career, opportunities available in respective states, support extended by state education bodies to international students, and much more. Hence, without wasting any time, I would like to introduce our distinguished guest. We have amongst us today Miss Virginia Lee, Associate Director from Study New South Wales, Miss Neha Diwan, Business Manager, International Marketing, representing Study Adelaide, South Australia, Mr. Jamal Qureshi, Director of Education, South Asia from the Government of Western Australia, and Ms. Annie Helen Santana, Regional Director, Education from the State Government of Victoria. We welcome them on board. These places are not only home to some of the leading universities and institutions from Australia, but are also amongst the top student cities in the world, be it Melbourne, Sydney, Adelaide, or Perth. They all are amongst the top student cities and feature in top 50 in the world and offer excellent opportunities to international students. Coming to IDP education, we have been assisting students with their overseas education plan from past 50 years. And over a period of time, we have assisted thousands of students to fulfill their Australian education dream. And moving forward, we are organizing an Australian education virtual fair starting 15th of January, where students can interact with over 40 Australian universities and institutions and apply to the institution of their choice for the upcoming intake. So without wasting any time, we would like to get into our panel discussion. And I would like to throw my first question to Ms. Annie, and it is regarding the COVID. So Ms. Annie, we would like to know how is the COVID situation in Australia? And in addition to that, we have heard that the vaccination drive will start in Australia in the month of February. Do you see it as a positive move for Australia-bound students?
Rohit, firstly, hello, and thank you for this opportunity to be here. Look, the COVID-19 pandemic has obviously presented a once in a century challenge to all the countries in their ability to respond to the situation. And I suppose the recent announcement of the vaccination has provided some hope that there may be an end in sight. As we are well aware, Australia, apart from New Zealand, has managed the COVID better. However, not to take away all the challenges. And Victoria, in fact, has moved to COVID safe summer restrictions in December. So we're very mindful of the need to bring international students safely into the country. International students are an important part of our state's rich multicultural society, and their contribution to our community is a success story for our state. When the outbreak happened earlier in 2020, in fact, the Victorian government responded very quickly to the impacts of the COVID-19 on international students and the sector, delivering the most comprehensive international student support package of any Australian state or territory. On 29th April, we also announced a $45 million international emergency relief fund, a student emergency relief fund, and more than 33,000 international students have availed the grants. Now, what I'm actually coming to say is that bringing back international students safely is very high on the agenda. And there has been discussions around the plans to open up for international student in a pilot mode via a safe corridor. However, this is still in discussion, and we are working with the federal government and the education providers on a safe pathway. We are hopeful that depending on the rollouts of the vaccination and our ability to contain the cases will soon help us bring the students back on shore. Now, to conclude this question, I don't have a definitive date, but certainly plans are underway, and it is much a priority for both our federal as well as the state governments.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Annie. And we really appreciate the kind of support Australian government have extended to the international students, plus how they have managed the COVID situation internally. With around 30,000 cases and most of them have recovered, I think Australia is one of those countries who have recovered well from COVID and they have managed the situation very well. So we
Absolutely.
are hoping that moving forward, also the kind of support they have extended and the kind of uh, the students who are looking forward to study in Australia, the borders will soon open up, and this will give them the opportunity that they'll go and study on campus.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. My next question is directed to everyone. Since you guys are representing your respective states, we would like to know certain key USPs of your respective states and regions, which may be beneficial for the prospective students and may play a key influencer for them while shortlisting a university or institution of their choice. So I would like to start with Jamal. Would you like to tell us some key USPs for Perth or Western Australia as a region?
Thank you, Rohit, for inviting me. Yes, number one is WA. Western Australia has the highest GDP in as compared to other parts. As compared to other parts of Australia, when WA's GDP is 33% higher than the national average. Number one. Number two is the least expensive capital city to live in Australia. Number three is free schooling that we provide to dependents of international students undertaking masters by research and above doctoral programs also. And at the same time, it's a healthy city since it's been 9 months that we did not have a single community transfer case in Western Australia. And plus, there are opportunities. Right now, we are facing acute shortage of skilled labor. So students will have added advantage, or you can say they will have a lot of opportunities to explore once they land in Western Australia.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jamal. Virginia, would you like to add on something from New South Wales perspective?
Thank you, and thank you very much for having me. So, innovative, dynamic, diverse are the three characteristics that draw 40% of Australia's foreign student population to New South Wales. So, New South Wales remain highly attractive because it affords opportunity to get quality education while enjoying the scenic lifestyle and entrepreneurial culture Australia is known for. The quality of our world-class institution is, of course, the real draw card for international students who choose to study here. New South Wales is Australia's most popular study destination, with QS World ranking top placer. I warmly invite you all to visit the exhibition booth from the New South Wales University at the fair, where you can meet our best metropolitan and regional universities, such as the University of Sydney, University of New South Wales, UTS, Macquarie University, University of Newcastle, and University of Wollongong, to discuss your choice with them.
Sure. Thank you, Virginia. Neha?
Thank you, Rohit, for this opportunity. Adelaide is a capital city of South Australia, and from international students' perspective, it is considered as a cost-effective destination. So when I'm talking about cost effectiveness, it is considered as, when it comes to your accommodation, you can find anything, around your budget. So from a student's point of view, if they want to live right in the heart of the city, so they have something to find, and find something in their own budget. There is a 50% discount on the public transport, which means if you're a tertiary student, you just pay $50 for a month. So all these factors really adds, and I think one of the most popular reason for any student to choose Adelaide, because it is very cost-effective destination. Second is there is an additional year of post-study work rights available for students. So when I talk about India as a market, many students look for a destination where they can stay a little bit longer. And Adelaide is considered as a regional area, which doesn't mean that it's a small village. It is, of course, a very big city. But let's say if you finish your bachelor's or a master's degree, students can stay for about 3 years in South Australia. And even in the current environment, students are enjoying a great on-campus experience. So most of their programs are face-to-face deliverability even at this stage, and some of the modules are through online learning. So in the current environment, on-campus experience is one of the most important factor for students enrolling for online programs across different universities.
Thank you, Neha. Annie, would you like to add on something from Melbourne's perspective?
Absolutely. I mean, there are multiple reasons, and it is probably the reason why Melbourne nearly 50% of students who go to Australia actually choose to come to Victoria and to Melbourne. So we've been actually getting a number of Indian students, and we have a very strong Indian community as well. But in answer specifically to the different reasons, I mean, firstly, I would say it is the quality of education. I mean, QS World University Rankings actually place six of Victoria's top universities in the top ranked universities in the world. Melbourne is also the best student city in Australia and the third best student city in the world, according to the prestigious QS Best Student Cities Index of 2019. And it's been the case for a number of years as well. Not to mention a range of support services from the Victorian government itself to support the students. Now, Victoria was one of the first states to introduce a student care center and of this kind in Australia. And because of this great foundation, we were very well placed to quickly scale up capacity to deliver additional crisis support just before COVID, I mean, just during COVID as well. Those are sort of the three main highlights I would give. But as I said, there are definitely a range of reasons why, Melbourne's been so popular with Indian students.
Sure. Certainly, Annie, and I absolutely endorse that, given the fact that you guys are home to some of the leading universities of Australia and the kind of support you guys are extended to international and the opportunities available to international students. I think there is no reason why a student should not Australia as a top study destination. And every state of Australia has got their own unique sense of USPs, and students need to choose what kind of programs they would like to go for and what are the opportunities they're looking for. So, thank you for sharing your views. My next question is for Jamal. And since the topic of today's discussion is about futuristic skills, I would like to ask Jamal, futuristic skills like cognitive flexibility, digital literacy, judgment and emotional intelligence are considered to be a key to success. How Australian universities actually help a student to develop these skills?
Well, it's been predicted that by 2030, human minds will be controlled by artificial intelligence. And the world is evolving quickly, and which means institutions and individuals have to figure out how to prepare for future jobs, roles, and that's impossible to predict. And there isn't a crystal ball which can tell you exactly what skills you need and what is needed and what won't be needed. So, an online education existed, but what happened is over a period of time, things have changed. And COVID-19 has resulted in schools shut down all across the world. Globally, over 1.2 billion students are out of classrooms. As a result, education has changed dramatically with the distinctive rise of e learning, whereby teaching is undertaken remotely on digital platforms. Australian institutions have started to focus on five skills which they believe that students will need to succeed in future career, and where whatever they can end up being. First thing is cognitive flexibility. I mean, I was reading a book by the name of Jugaad, which is, and the word Jugaad is a colloquial Hindi or Punjabi word, and which refers to a non-conventional frugal innovation, and often termed as hack. You know, so this book has actually got a collection of beautiful Jugaad ventures and of people around the world, and it describes how people have built giant companies by simple innovations. So people who are multitasking and have the ability to adapt to change and conceptualize complex multiple ideas all at once are highly valued by employers and recruiters. Similarly, now if you go to see digital literacy is another factor which the universities are thinking, focusing on these days. And these days, it's a very popular word called SMAC, that is social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. So to march along with time, it is important for students to have a skills where he should learn to communicate and access information through digital technologies like internet platforms, social media, mobile devices. So Australian universities are offering programs in these areas, and often we have seen an increase in the number of students enrolling for these programs, and especially from South Asia. Coming down to judgment and the emotional intelligence. Now, for everything can be replaced digital technology and artificial intelligence, but emotional and social intelligence remain uniquely with human capabilities. Now, we are going to see a lot of things which, I mean, we still see a lot of human need and which are subjective to side of data analytics. For example, in case of health sector, technology alone will not solve all the entire problem. You need humans as well to deal with the problems. So Australian universities have designed their programs in such a way that covers both the elements. So things are working out. Australian universities are focusing on that, and the main focus right now is to make students employable. No matter which course they enroll for, they should be employable, and no matter which part of the world they go.
Sure. Thank you, Jamal. Neha, I would like to direct the same question to you. Anything you would like to add from your perspective?
Yeah, sure. Jamal actually explained it really, really well, and I just like to add a couple of things. So, of course, Australian education system has been designed to inspire, thought, leading creativity among students in every discipline. So it is not just limited to reading from the books. It is actually, very much based on pushing your own boundaries. You students, they do group projects, team assignments, and gain work experience while they study. So this practical approach of learning helps students to build those skills like, cognitive flexibility. And in terms of, there's another very, very important aspect of Australian education is building the soft skills. So let's say even if students are coming to study an engineering program or maybe IT program, which are very, very technical, but as a part of your program, you also learn these soft skills such as, effective communication, teamwork, critical thinking, which makes you build your judgment and emotional intelligence, your interpersonal skills, and so on. So this has been embedded into the course curriculum, which also as per the Australian qualification framework. And I totally agree to what Jamal said about digital literacy, that how with the change in the environment, how institutions are offering programs on digital platform, and how for employability it is very, very important for a student to have those digital skills. So because universities and even employers understand that strong technological skill set will be crucial for future job seekers. Many courses and units already include activities and assignments, tasks that build those digital skills. And one of the great example is the current, COVID situation. Everything has moved online. We all are doing virtual meetings. We are doing Zoom sessions. So, from a student's perspective, once they graduate and if they want to get a job, they need to build their personal brand. So how good you are in connecting people through LinkedIn, or how you're approaching for such opportunities. So this is I think the very best thing about Australian education system is that it is all embedded, and students have an opportunity to polish all these skills, which will help them to find jobs. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say.
Sure, sure. Thanks a lot, Neha and Jamal. And one thing is for sure that COVID has played as a catalyst in building this digital literacy and technology skills, and it has actually brought forward all the technologies what we were thinking in next 10 years and what we
Yeah.
are doing right now. So yeah, some positives from COVID. Speaking on technology, Neha, we have seen that South Australia as a region is growing rapidly. Especially
Yeah.
in last couple of years, we have seen lot many students going to South Australia, and there
Yeah.
are many industries coming up in South Australia, be it high technology, medical services, agribusiness, and food.
Yeah.
Uh, so how these industries would translate into a better career opportunities for international students, and what skill set is required to
Yeah.
succeed in these industries?
Yeah, yeah. So, yes, Rohit, there is a huge opportunity for international students to have better career opportunities in said sectors. And the thing is that these industries have been there for a long time. And from last few years, the government and the various other agencies have put in a lot of effort to make sure that they connect industry with education. So many Indian students and across, I'm 100% sure across all other Australian states as well, they work in different sectors such as high technology, agribusiness, health and medical industries, and creative industries. So in my view, this starts from their tertiary education, which means they have to start, building their network. And the best part is that universities work very, very closely with people who are into these industries. So there are guest lectures. And in some of the programs, students have an experience to actually go and work in an industry. So one of the example is that if a student is into, health program, they are doing a research. So we have a summary here, which is South Australia Health and Medical Industries, where we have 700 researchers working around different areas. So people who are, let's say, working in University of Adelaide or University of South Australia or Flinders University, they can go there, do a small internship, which will definitely help them in finding full-time job employment as well. Um, Other than that, few examples are that Adelaide has world-class capabilities in data analytics, artificial intelligence, and virtual reality. So we've got a lot of organizations from US and from Europe who have built their offices in South Australia. So I'm sure students, they really enjoy, movies like movies where their graphics and their production and their editing has been done in companies in South Australia. And we are also a home to the Australian Space Agency. So there are about 80 space organizations and companies and institutions with a workforce of more than 1,200 people. And looking at the population of South Australia, we need a lot of international students to come and work around different sectors. So yes, there are ample number of opportunity. There is an established connection between educational institution and industries, and up to the students also to take that step forward. And universities and Study Adelaide prepare them, with all these tips and tricks to help them, with the job prospects. So yeah.
Sure. Thank you, Neha. And you very rightly mentioned the kind of opportunities which are coming up in Adelaide. I think it is a very positive move from international students' perspective, because they can not only study in Australia and in study Adelaide, they can actually get into a successful career after
Yeah.
finishing their studies.
Yeah.
So that makes me move on to the next question. Jamal, we heard this. We heard about this initiative called Study Perth Prosper, which sounds very interesting. So, would you like to throw some light on this initiative by Study Perth and how it really translates into better opportunities for international students? I think we have lost Jamal because of the connectivity issues. While we'll come back to Jamal, I can move on to my next question, and it is for Virginia, and it is again in regards to employability. So employability is considered to be a key ROI for international students, Virginia. Do you see compositional changes in the coming years, especially in post-COVID era? What sectors and industries students should target if they are interested in studying in New South Wales?
Thank you. We certainly understand employability is one of the key ROI for international students. That's why Study New South Wales facilitates value-added experience for thousands of students through programs like Global Scope, which is a 3-week work integrated learning experience with the New South Wales employers and mentors. We also co-founded digital programs such as the Fast Forward Hub and Interchange to foster international students' entrepreneurial skill to build their ideas into startups. Most recently, we have launched a summer engagement program where students can sign up for a virtual internship, Farm Job Connect employment opportunities, and many more resources. Please subscribe to the Study New South Wales mailing list for more details. Now, to answer your question, New South Wales offers unique experience for every type of student. Based on our international student survey, over 90% of students reported a high level of satisfaction in New South Wales. It is higher in smaller regions that are not crowded, where students have better work opportunities because business really value the experience and skills that international students bring. So Study New South Wales want to ensure the experience international get from their time here is one that empower a new generation to realize their dream. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Virginia, for your views. And while Jamal is joining in again, I would like to throw my next question to Annie. Annie, you mentioned in your introduction also that the Australian government, the Victoria government, have announced a road to recovery plan, and they are putting in money and funds to support international students. Would you like to elaborate on that and how it would really help international students and the sector in the given situation?
Sure, sure. There's a range of initiatives, Rohit. So, with the Road to Recovery Plan, as it's called, the Victorian government is investing around $33.4 million in 2021, actually, to support both the short term recovery of the international education sector and as well as to continue to support the international students. So, some of the key initiatives are starting with an international marketing campaign, which will be focused about talking about the safety aspects for the international students that have been put in place. We will also be adding to the existing suite of students experience programs. So I already mentioned about the Study Melbourne Student Care Center, and with the center, there's a range of initiatives and support services that the international students can access. So there's going to be another additional suite of programs that are going to be added to the support center, including what's called an Edu Tourism program, which will encourage students to develop leadership skills, become ambassadors for the benefits of visiting regional Victoria and things like that. So that's going to be part of the program. There's an entrepreneurship program that will be added as well, which will provide seed funding and support for students to develop their corporate entrepreneurship skills, business, and have a startup idea. So there's going to be a funding that's going to be available for international students to access from. There's also going to be a virtual platform which will be promoting and connecting students to services and programs that are offered through the center for referring students for other services, providing resources. So there's going to be a virtual center as well, which will, function as part of the support services mechanism. We will, of course, earlier I mentioned about working closely with the federal government to see how we can bring back international students as well. That is part of the recovery plan as well. There's going to be a new scholarship program to create a pathway to Victoria, which is essentially a program that provides grants to TAFEs and universities for students undertaking ELICOS or foundation studies. So there's going to be a new scholarship that's going to be available. There's also going to be a Victorian government study hub in India, which will be set up, and we haven't finalized the city yet, but it's going to happen in the next 4 to 5 months. This is largely for students who are looking at studying online, and they have a place to actually come to as well, for additional support. This, as I said, is a physical location for online learners, and apart from that, they can also access a variety of professional benefits out of the hub, which is going to be, hopefully announced in the next 3 to 4 months. There are also key grants for strategic projects and research programs. This is mainly for the universities and our TAFE providers for establishing partnerships with key institutions in India and other parts of the world as well. So those are some of the highlights of the Road to Recovery Plan. I'll be happy to share a web link so you can read through the plan in detail.
Sure, sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Annie, for sharing your views. And I think, yes, it's a very great move and initiative taken by Victoria government, and it will support international students who are looking forward to study in Victoria in coming months.
Sure, thank you.
So since Jamal has joined us back, Jamal, we have seen that mining sector attracting highest weekly pay package as per the Australian Bureau of Statistics. So what programs students should study if they are interested in making a career in the sector?
Rohit, see, mining has been one of the key sector for us, for Western Australia especially. It's been number one sector. So, because it supports nearly 38% of Australia's GDP to mining. And there are projects worth $90 billion worth waiting, pre-approved projects which are already in pipeline. But the problem right now that we are facing is the acute shortage of labor. And students have the opportunity in institutions to offer that program. In fact, the programs that we offer, 80 to 85% of the program is hands-on, and which means the student will be working on the mines which are owned by the companies. So students can enroll for programs like chemical engineering, civil and construction engineering, metallurgical engineering, mining engineering, and then Bachelor of Surveying. Basically, there are programs which sounds new, which students are not aware of. I mean, I can give you, I can explain you a little bit about those programs. For example, Bachelor of Surveying. Surveying is highly specialized professional discipline that involves measuring the surface of the earth and its features. And then you have Surveying and Spatial Science, which specializes in to enhance students' knowledge and skills as a mining engineer in the field of surveying. And then we have extractive metallurgy, where a student will learn how to manage the operation of metallurgical processing plant in an economical and environmentally responsible way. And then after that, we have programs called Master of Geospatial Intelligence, which is a field which is extracting actionable knowledge from location-based data. Graduates with skill set that combines remote sensing, GIS, that is Geographical Information System, data management, visualization, and geospatial tools that enables a student to describe, analyze, and interpret large, diverse data set. Then finally, we have the other program, which is Master of Subsea Engineering, which is Subsea Engineering is basically a broad study which is designed to develop operation of subsea engineering, which means extracting oil from the ocean. So students have to work on the rigs for these programs. And on an average, the start salary for a student who have going for mining engineering, all these related programs in Western Australia is more than $100,000 per annum. So it's a very good package. And the other advantage of this particular going for mining engineering program is that it is offered at Kalgoorlie campus, which is not in Perth. Which Kalgoorlie is 3.5 hours away from Perth, which was established in the year 1902. And so the WA School of Mines is located in a very regional place because you can't dig mines in the city. And the advantage of studying in Calgary campus is that students on successful completion of the course will be eligible for the 2-year additional post-study work visa. As it is, the student is getting 2 years of post-study work visa plus another 4 years. And the advantage is that these mines are owned by the companies, so students are getting hands-on. So once the student have developed the right skills, the advantage is that these students will be picked up from campus itself.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Jamal. And we all know that Western Australia is known to be the epicenter of mining in Australia. And mining is one of the largest sectors for Australia. And from the economic point of view, it brings a lot of wealth. So it is a big opportunity for students who are interested in making their career in mining and resources, that they can eye some of the universities and courses in Western Australia and across Australia to a larger extent. Which brings me to the another question, and this is for Virginia. Virginia, we know that there's a huge diaspora of Indian students in Australia and New South Wales. So would you like to share some success stories of Indian students who are doing well in New South Wales and which would encourage students who are eyeing to study in Australia?
Certainly. So international students are an important member of our local community because they contribute significantly to the state's cultural capital, as outlined by other panel members. So international students from India are well represented in the New South Wales International Student Award, which celebrate international students' contribution to the New South Wales community. India had 2 recent winners and numerous finalists. So in particular, I want to highlight Amrit Paukal, an Indian PhD student studying at the University of New England, who has won the New South Wales International Student of Year Award, Higher Education category in 2019. She has actively driven cultural diversity whilst conducting research for sustainable farming practices for drought-affected communities. She come to New South Wales to get a high quality education, but she's also making outstanding contribution to her local communities and helping others succeed. So she embodied the positive impact international students have on our cultural capital and fostering international research collaboration that drive innovation in New South Wales. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Virginia. My next question is for Annie. Annie, we all know that Victoria is such a popular destination for international students, and some of the leading universities have got their campuses in Victoria. What are the part-time work opportunities available to international students while they are studying, and how it really translates into a long-term career goal? Uh, in addition to that question, I would like to ask, are there any support services extended by educational bodies like yours to assist these students in making their career successful? You're on mute, Annie.
So international students, as we know, can actually work up to 40 hours per fortnight while they're studying and can work full time during their semester breaks. So everyone who works in Australia has the same rights and protections under the law. So can international students as well. We have few initiatives in place to assist students through the Study Melbourne Student Care Center that I mentioned earlier. The students can access what's called the International Students Work Rights Legal Services for free, confidential, and independent legal advice for international students with work problems. We have lawyers who are there available for international students on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at the center. We also have what's called Study Melbourne Live Projects, which is a program under the Lead Intern Volunteer Experience Initiative, which is delivered in partnership with education providers. Now, this program actually connects international and domestic students with Victoria's industries and priority sectors through work-based projects. Now, students undertake a unique 3-week collaborative project learning experience supported by industry mentors to solve some real business problems for clients, ranging from startups to established SMEs, from large enterprises to Victorian government agencies, communities, not-for-profit organizations, so a range of areas and sectors actually. And as I mentioned earlier, Melbourne is also one of these sort of the commercial hubs in of Australia. So there are a range of industries that have a significant presence, in Melbourne. Now, recently also we announced, I mentioned earlier as well, which is the entrepreneurship program that will provide seed funding and support for students to develop their corporate entrepreneurship skills, business, and a startup idea as well. Now, Melbourne is also seen as a leading knowledge city, attracting a number of international companies to set up their research and development operations. It's also a major economic center and the home to multinationals in many, many fields. So we have postgraduate courses that also have strong ties to industry partner. So it's worth investigating whether your course offers opportunities to connect with industry through programs like internships, networking events, and things like that as well. So a number of our universities actually offer these programs, which have a very strong industry connect. Now, a key thing to note is that cities like Melbourne are one of the key centers of, as I said, economic activity, and that provides a number of opportunities. And we are close to nearly half of biotech industry, healthcare industry, ICT industry, and the like. So, in terms of opportunities, there would be enormous. What I would like to add, and I have been an international student myself many years ago, of course. As an international student, I think one of the most important things to note is that you need to take initiative. You will need to network and you have to put yourself out there. All these support services, initiatives, and the companies are available, but it is up to you to actually sort of take charge, lead, and things like that. And that's why we realized that we needed to put programs in place that give students the opportunity to either take volunteering experience or take leadership roles and things like that. So we also have a Study Melbourne welfare grants program where students can apply and organize events and activities that will actually enable them to develop a lot of these skills as well. So I would say never miss a volunteering opportunity, because the skills you gain there, they will really support your endeavors in future. So it's not a straightforward answer when you say about how it's going to assist with career goals, but it is about making sure that do your homework and get to know about all these opportunities, programs, initiatives that are already there, that are for free for a number of international students. So, but it's up to them to put themselves out there. That's the key.
And absolutely, Annie, I think you very rightly mentioned that the kind of initiatives you will take to support your career, it will ultimately help you in your career goals. So, be it a volunteer work or any sort of small time work, whatever you do within the organization, within the campus, it will lead to a successful career if you are career bound and you would like to make a career for yourself in that particular stream.
Absolutely.
So before I end this discussion, I would like to take closing notes from Neha on the support offered to international students, and especially during COVID times, we heard that international students were struck there. So, Neha, would you like to throw some light on what support was offered to international students while they were there during the COVID times, and how it really translates into a better word of mouth?
Yeah, sure, Rohit. So, the first and the very important thing for any student was, and it still is, financial support. So when COVID hit, the government of South Australia and our educational institutions, they released a $50 million grant for international students who, that have been affected by coronavirus pandemic in Australia. So, of course, all these students received that independent grant from their education institutions, which really, really helped them in looking after themselves, such as, buying their basic groceries or looking after their rents. And there are a lot of other community organizations such as Oz Harvest and Uniting Communities. So they offered a lot of free food or free groceries to many students in South Australia. And Study Adelaide also released a lot of free food vouchers. So of course, when COVID hit, many students were really, really concerned about the hardship, the financial hardship. So there we, took an initiative and supported these students through that, through that hardship. And another initiative was the residential rent grant scheme, which is actually to support students and the landlords. If, let's say, for some reason students are not able to pay their rent, so government released that grant to the landlords to not charge the students for a certain duration. Other than that, we as an organization moved all our events on the digital platform. We've been always talking about digital literacy, so we thought let's just engage and stay connected to the students, because mental health was one of the concern for us as an organization, because they were not able to travel back to their home countries, they were not able to meet their friends. So we offered a lot of events like Netflix movie party or morning yoga or something, some activities. And this was happening last year, where there wasn't an opportunity to step out from home. And then when things got back to normal, then we of course moved all our events to the physical events. A very important initiative which we've taken was around their employability. So we did a lot of specific sessions to help students with their resume writing skills, with their cover letters, interview skills, goal setting workshops, and their personal branding. Like how Annie mentioned about educating students to take that initiative, going out, building their brand. So that's what we did one-on-one sessions with the students to help them understanding about the Australian work culture. And of course, we have launched and we are still running a summer program in Adelaide. So we are offering over 100 plus events to both international school students and tertiary students. So the theme of these events are, around academic or social events, community events, tours. We are offering, discounted tours. We are offering camps, festivities, sporting events such as badminton, or maybe how to take a best Instagram photograph. So that's how, sessions we are doing to engage with students. So yes, this has been a really challenging year for students and a lot of people around education industry. And I think organization like our study bodies added a lot of value to make sure that students should not feel really homesick. So yes, that's about me.
Thank you, Neha. Thanks a lot for your comments. And I must endorse and appreciate the kind of support all state bodies and states actually gave to the international students. A lot of initiatives were taken during the pandemic time, and which really translated into a good support to international students, the students who are staying away from their family, and it really helped them to live in Australia at that point of time. So, with this, we have reached the end of our discussion, and we would like to thank our panelists for being a part of this discussion and sharing their views. But for the viewers who are watching us live, if you still have any questions unanswered, you can connect, connect with us during the IDP Australian Education Fair starting from 15th of January. where you can meet representatives of the state bodies, the state education bodies, and university representatives from 40 plus institutions into program and university selection, scholarships, post study work rights, etc. This is the opportunity where you can apply to one of these institutions, and you can sort your queries pertaining to anything you may have for the upcoming intake. Also, we would like to leave our viewers with a note that the pandemic situation is temporary, but your career goals are permanent. Hence, please don't put your career goals in a vain. And even if you have to start online initially, please start your education online, and you can then transfer to on campus as and when borders open. With this, we would like to say a big thank you to our viewers, and with a note saying that you can always get in touch with IDP for the latest updates and communication pertaining to Australia. This will help you make an informed decision about your study plans if you are thinking of studying in Australia. So once again, thanks a lot to our panelists for sharing their views and taking time out, and the viewers who are watching us live. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, Rohit.
Thank you. Thanks, Rohit.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Rohit.